happened?
I think that woman drank too much, lost her balance.
So this movie Trap, this might be one of the most well put together movies I've ever seen. Right? You've got
Got your ass.
What happened?
all right. Let me just be honest. All right, I did not enjoy this movie. I'm sure the film crew worked very hard on it, and this may be an unpopular opinion. I just think the final result just fell pretty flat. And I just want to make this video just to kind of express just my thoughts on it and why I think it fell flat in a few areas. The movie Trap is about a father and daughter attending a security-laden pop concert. The father, who is actually the serial killer known as the Butcher, must escape the concert without being identified. Now, there's two main points I wanted to talk about just with this movie. The first point, and the one that really struck me immediately when watching the movie, was the characters, right? Mainly the lack of depth in the characters. It really felt like just the Butcher. I don't even remember the people's names in the movie, and that just kind of shows you something already. But even the Butcher and his daughter, and it just felt like all these characters could have easily been played by any other actor. And this isn't to throw any kind of shade at the actors playing the roles. I just think it's how it's written and just what they have to work with. They don't have much to work with, right? So I feel like they could replace the serial killer with Matt Damon, or he could be replaced with Ethan Hawke, and the same with the girl, right? You could just replace them with anybody, and it's the same movie. I just felt like the characters are like tissue paper thin. Now, specifically, I thought that the Butcher himself was a very thin character, right? There's a lot of cliche serial killer movie type of add-ons with him, right? He's got the blank face. He doesn't really show emotion, right? It just feels like, in my opinion, the story is revolving more around the plot instead of the actual character himself. So I thought that the movie was revolving around the actual plot, the whole idea, the whole scenario of a serial killer being trapped inside like a stadium and trying to escape, as opposed to building it around the Butcher himself and then letting it kind of work out from there. And I think it really shows, especially when you see there's weird inserts of dialogue, of informative dialogue, a lot of exposition in there to kind of explain his past. There's things where they talk about he hated his mother and things like that. Even just how organized he is. There's, you see things like that, but in the movie, but it feels like it's kind of taped on him, right? It doesn't feel like he's like, it doesn't feel like he's wearing the character in a sense. It feels like they're just taping little facts on him to make him more interesting. Now, even some other characters in the movie. You have a few minor characters in the movie, right? The serial killer's wife. You have that lead FBI agent. Even those people, they don't really say much, but they're just kind of like cookie cutter characters in a sense. The FBI lady, she's kind of just there. She kind of has a grimace on her face. He says a few things, but not much. The wife just kind of freaks out, but there's not much to her, And I think, there's movies, you could think of Taylor Sheridan. He's a director and writer, right? You can think of the movie, he directed Hell or High Water. There's a scene where the brothers are, I believe they're inside a restaurant, and there's a waitress there, right? Even that scene, there's the waitress is only in there for what, maybe like a minute or so in the scene or something like that. But even that, there's something about her, right? It's what she says, it's what she doesn't say, and you can sense a character. There's something in her. There's more in her than just dialogue, right? And And I just think this movie specifically with Trap, you don't have that with the minor characters. Even though you don't see them much, there's not much to them. Now, my second point or gripe, or I mean, whatever you want to call it, that really stuck out to me was the story itself. And I'm not talking about the idea. I thought the idea was super original. It's a very interesting concept with having a serial killer try to work his way out of a stadium, right, without getting caught. But I feel like the novelty of the idea kind of wore off after the first 25 minutes or so. And what we're kind of left with is just, I felt like we kind of got cheated a little bit, because what we got left with is just, you could feel like the rigid plotting of a script starting to kind of rear its ugly head up. You know, we got left with just kind of someone trying to manipulate and move pieces around to kind of get the serial killer to this spot and that. And it just, some of this stuff just felt just too good to be true. Like, is this man, how's he going to get out of the situation in real life? Is this stuff really going to play out this way? Probably not. And I just feel like we kind of got left with that for most of the movie.
Look at the stage where that guy came out. I wonder what's down there. Hey, we should climb down and see where it leads. It looks really cool.
Now, you've got scenes near the end of the movie where the serial killer just somehow happens to get the upper hand in a situation where just the options don't seem available to him. And now, unless we got the most incompetent police force of all time, I just don't see how some of this stuff is possible, right? I mean, the pieces don't seem like they should fit together. You know, if this was a real life situation. Now, look, I mean, it is a coherent storyline, right? It is something that makes sense. And look, I mean, if you've ever tried to write any sort of short story or anything like that, and you try to write something good, you'll realize pretty quickly, if you've never done it before, that it's a little bit harder than you think, right? To have something that makes sense, where the storyline is actually coherent and things seem like they work together. So look, the storyline is coherent, but I just feel like it just felt like they were trying to force the whole story into a specific ending to get a specific end result, instead of just letting everything play out as it should. You know, come on. You know, they're gonna leave this serial killer, alone in the back of an armored vehicle, just by himself. They're not gonna pat him down. They're not gonna check anything. It's just things like that. You know, I don't know. Who knows? You know, maybe there was no other real way to get it to work, unless I don't know. But, you know, it's just things like that where it feels like, you know, they're trying to push this plot and just trying to force a square peg into a round hole. Again, this is just my opinion and just why I thought the movie fell flat in a few areas. The director, M. Night, obviously excellent writer and director, and he's written some great movies in the past, right? I'm sure he's going to write another great one in the future. Just this one in particular wasn't it for me. But, you know, give it a watch. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you'll be like me and you won't. But again, you know, maybe just give it a chance if you haven't already. But again, that's my thoughts on it. So.